Hello everyone, my name is Hamid Azimi and I'm your host for today's TechnologyCatalogue.com webinar. Today I'm joined with Richard Beck, who is the co-founding director at DIGATEX, as well as Cameron Stevens, who is the solutions engineers at RealWare. Before I hand it over to the guys for their presentation, I'd like to basically raise three points. Number one is where you guys can find these technologies on TechnologyCatalogue.com. If you go to our website, TechnologyCatalogue.com, you can go to this the module called Digitalisation, and then for the first technology DI Analytics by DIGATEX, you can find it under the submodule Robotics, as you can see here in the picture. And then for the second technology, HMT1Z1 by RealWare, you can find it under Remote Support submodule as well. The second point I wanted to also raise to our audience is their ability to ask questions. You guys can ask your questions during our presentations, and our presenters will take the questions at the end of their presentations. There is a chat box available on the right-hand side of the screen, as you can see, where you can type in your questions and they'll take it at the end of the presentation. And the last point is regarding the handouts of today's presentation. I'll make them available throughout the presentation, so you can access them and download it and have it for your own use, so that you can refer to them and stuff. Having said that, without further ado, I will hand it over to Richard to tell more about himself and basically give us the DIGATEX presentation. Richard, to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Hamid. Appreciate that, and we appreciate the opportunity to present to you all today. And thank you very much to everyone who's come online today. Hope you enjoy the presentation. So, Hamid, if you could just share the slides, we can get going. Thank you very much. All right, so what we're going to be looking at over the next 10 minutes is how we at DIGATEX use artificial intelligence and machine learning to enable fast access to engineering data. Research has shown that in the resource sector, 1 in 5 engineers are actually unproductive. That's because engineers spend about 20% of their time just looking for data. And this is the challenge that we address. The way that we do it is we combine our domain knowledge, which is knowledge about the resource sector, knowledge about the systems that are used, knowledge about the data, the workflows, and how it's used. We combine that with our artificial intelligence and machine learning platform, which we call DI Analytics. So the real power comes in combining those two aspects together, the domain knowledge with the artificial intelligence and machine learning. Our company was founded in 2017. We have our head office in Dubai, and that covers the Middle East. I am located in Perth in Western Australia, so I cover Southeast Asia. And our analytics team is based in Europe. So we're pretty much spread around that part of the world. All right, so what is the process? How do we actually work? Well, what we do is we take engineering data or documents, data in all sorts of unstructured formats, such as material master data, which is very unstructured, or schedules. And we take documents in all sorts of formats, such as PDF, TIFF, CAD, scanned images, photo images, whatever you like. And we process them through our DI Analytics artificial intelligence and machine learning platform. What that does is that uses deep neural networks to analyze that data, identify what we're looking for, and extract the data. That gets put into a database, which you can view through our Knowledge Hub, shown on the right-hand side of the slide. And the data can either be used by the client in the Knowledge Hub or can be exported into your own systems that you may be using in your organization. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking unintelligent, unconnected, dumb data or documents and creating intelligent, searchable data and documents. So what we're doing is using our domain knowledge and AI platform, we are removing that 20% time looking for data and making it very, very fast indeed. So that's essentially what we do. So who are we doing it with? Well, this slide shows some of the clients that we're dealing with at the moment. And you'll see it's a mixture of oil and gas operators, engineering service providers, mining companies, and tier one software providers as well, such as Aviva and Hexagon. So we've had quite a broad range of clients that we deal with right now. Right, so we told you a bit about the company. We've told you the process, but what have we actually done? Because I think that's the real core. How are we going about doing this, and what have we actually delivered? Well, we've got 4 or 5 case studies which we'll go through to show you the variability of what we do. The first one is around inventory sharing. And if you have a look at this slide, you will see that we've queried back a particular item. Now, this inventory sharing platform was developed for the oil and gas operators, started off here in Australia, where the 5 operators came to us and said, we would like to share inventory. The problem is that the data is all unstructured in terms of material master data held in the ERP system, and the operators won't share their platforms with each other. So they were looking for an independent platform, which we developed. And I've queried back an item 54610, which is an internal code number, which is only specific to my company. And the real advantage here is that not only can we now search across multiple companies to find inventory which they may have and then request it from them, the system has gone and looked in the background and said, right, Mr. Human Being or Mrs. Human Being, you've searched for that number, which is in the green background, but that's an internal number. It won't mean anything to anybody else. And so I will search for the part number, which is in the part number column. And it's come back and said, right, there's 2 other part numbers which are the same in other companies or other platforms which we're operating on. So what you've done in a couple of seconds is executed a search, found data in your own organization and in others, and enabled you to request that search. That process was taking up to 2 weeks to take place before. The second case study is around flange management. Now, Petronas was the client who came to us and said to us, look, we have 560,000 isometric drawings, all in PDF. What we'd like you to do is to create a flange register for us for all of those isometric drawings. They're all in PDF. So what our AR platform had to do was to open up the drawing. You can see the top left-hand box. They're quite complex, some of these isometric drawings. We had to work out the topology of the line. We had to then identify the flanges on that line. We had to then identify the gasket and bolting data for that particular line and pull it all together and do that 560,000 times. That project's been completed and handed over now. So that's taking PDF isometrics and creating a structured flange register for all of those drawings. The next one, which is almost kind of bread and butter to us, is extracting tag information from drawings and documents. This particular case was the client came to us and said, we have all our PNIDs, but our small valves are not tagged, which is pretty common in the industry. What they wanted us to do was to identify all the valves on the PDF isometrics, PDF PNIDs, identify the valves, tag them, and produce a list of valves for them. So you can see on the left-hand side is all the valves we've identified. So we've identified that, we've given it a numbering system. It even picks up text near it, so it knows what the size of the line is that valve is in. That's done all of that. We could identify all the instruments on there, all the lines, the off-sheet connectors as well. So that's identifying tag and other data on a drawing to make it intelligent. Because you could now go into our knowledge hub and search for XVG 32140024 1-inch NC, normally closed, and you would find that valve. We would find it very, very quickly for you. So in an operating environment, we're taking brownfield's site and making those documents very easily accessible to you. The next one is extracting data from data sheets, which is very common. We can use our AR platform to identify the various fields on a data sheet, extract that data, and it knows the linkages between the field names and the units of measure, the values, etc., etc. That's quite a common requirement as well, to extract data of PDF isometric, especially in a brownfields environment. The last case study is all about data mapping. And this particular one I'm showing you here is where a client came to us and said, look, we're going to a new version of our ERP system, and we've got about 10 different sites, all using different naming conventions. We'd like to take our unstructured material masters and map them to a common class library. So what we do is in the middle here is the long text from the ERP system, which you'll probably recognize. And we carry out some training, and the client actually did the training himself. And what we say is, well, that field is the diameter, that one's the length, that one's the manufacturer, etc. And the system then interpolates that and maps all the rest of the data. So what we're doing is combining some very basic principles with our AI platform to make data very quickly accessible. Right, so I'm getting close to my 10 minutes now. So just in summary, why would you come to Digitex? Well, if you want to lower your operating costs, we can provide fast access to data using this approach. We've proven that within the oil and gas sector and the mining sector as well. And that's very prevalent in the current oil price and what's going on in the world. We have resource sector experience, as you've seen from the clients that we have. And one of our differentiating factors is that we combine domain knowledge with our AI/ML platform. And this shortens the time to solve these various challenges. And of course, which is very topical for what's happening in the world at the moment, we can execute projects without being on site physically. Everything's in the cloud. We tend to use Amazon Web Services, or we can use Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud, although everyone tends to stick to AWS, so that's where we've been up until now. So we can load the data remotely, carry on the processing, and provide you with the output. So ladies and gentlemen, just in summary, we're using artificial intelligence and machine learning driven by domain knowledge, which is the important point, to enable fast access to your data. And of course, once we've got it within our platform, we've extracted the data, we can do a lot of analysis using very advanced analytics tools as well, which we've done for many of our clients. So thank you very much indeed. I think my 10 minutes is up now. So thank you for listening, and we're happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Richard, for the presentation. I want to also mention to our audience that the handouts are also available if they want to download. Please type your questions on the right-hand side of the chat box on the right-hand side. I personally had a question before. Okay, well, we got a question coming actually from Alex. Maybe we can take that. I read out the question for you, Richard. Alex asked, when you have an old style set of drawings, design books, etc., and you want to create full digital overview, is there easy way next to scanning all documents to get the base info for your activity?
Okay, yeah, thank you for the question, Alex. We've had this challenge before. What we do is we take your book that you've got, we process it through our AI/ML engine, and we extract the relevant data and link it to that book. So you might be looking for tag numbers in there, you might be looking for equipment numbers, you might be looking for manufacturer names, manufacturer part numbers. And so what we do is we index those parameters you're looking for to that document. So we make that document intelligent. Because there's no need to convert the whole document to some intelligent form. We can do that for you and make that very, very easy to find the data. That's how we'd handle that.
Great, thank you, Richard. Next question is from David. He asked, is your data acquisition limited to hardware? What about things like liquids inventory, crude oil, gasoline, etc.? And he also asked further to that, can you search and extract from email and a spreadsheet? So,
okay, so a number of questions there. All of our infrastructure is sitting in AWS Cloud or Microsoft Azure, depending on what you prefer. And so we can extract data from any format that we've been given to date, we've managed to extract from. So yes, we could extract data from emails. We haven't had too many requests for that. Spreadsheets all the time. That's a very common format. PDF files, photographs, scanned images, anything like that. As long as it's the parameter we normally, or the point we normally make is if you can read it as a human being, then we'll be able to read it because our neural networks do visual imaging. So that's the normal rule there. I hope that answers the question.
Thanks, Richard. I take the next question from Giorgio. He asked about extraction data, how document quality must be to obtain great results.
Okay, yes. Document quality is what it's all about. What we have found, which is very, very interesting, is that if the document quality is fairly low, but it's consistently low, so maybe there's been multiple scans and it's been distorted, the machine can normally work that out, all right? But once again, I come back to what I said earlier on, is if it's readable by a human person, then we've got a very good chance of us being able to read it. And of course, the way that the machine operates is it works out a level of confidence in the result as well. So you can certainly look at the level of confidence and say, right, well, anything I've extracted was below a certain level, perhaps we need some further investigation on it.
Perfect. Thank you, Richard. And I'll take the last question from Giorgio. He has another question asking, have you ever worked in the content server open text environment?
In actual fact, most of our documents come from a document management system of some sort. So we don't tend to link direct to a document management system such as the one you mentioned. We did a very big project for an operator here in Australia from Documentum. And so what we normally do is extract the documents, put it into our cloud environment, process them, and then send the data back and the intelligent documents back. But we are linking with lots of systems all the time. And so, yeah, we would need a bit more detail, but I wouldn't see an issue with interfacing with those document management systems you mentioned.
Thank you, Richard. Really appreciate answering the questions and the great presentation. For our audience, once again, they can basically contact Richard. You can see his email address and phone number on this slide. So please reach out to him if you have any other questions. I would like to basically ask Cameron to come online, and we continue carrying on with this second presentation. Thanks, Cameron. Floor is yours.
Roll the script, roll the video. Saves me talking.
Navigate procedure. Next. Next. Activate camera. Call support.
Hi, how can I help you?
There's a pressure problem in plant 99. Can you send me the schematics?
You should bypass the flow by closing valve 11.
Zoom level 2. Record video. Preview. Manage tags. Valve 11. Plant 99. Apply tags. Navigate back. Pressure restored. Maintenance completed.
Well, there we go. So that there was a video from one of our partners. I think Raimundo is actually on the webinar. So and using the RealWare HMT as the hardware. So my name's Cameron. I am solutions engineer for RealWare based in Perth, Western Australia, just like Richard. Thanks, Richard, for your great presentation about DIGATEX. And continuing on the theme of digitalisation in the oil and gas sector, we're going to be talking about the RealWare HMT1 and specifically the HMT1Z1, which is effectively the intrinsically safe version of our head-mounted Android class wearable tablet. So the RealWare HMT head-mounted tablet is the foundational tool for connected worker programs and digital transformation. If we talk about the oil and energy sector, very much one of the industry verticals we are a very usable, deployable solution, particularly in the current environment with COVID-19, with a reduction in the ability for people to be able to travel. So we're 100% hands-free wearable device, usable, dependable, adaptable, and deployable for today's workforce. So we're used now throughout the world in all industries for a whole variety of different use cases. So we're usable in the fact that we're 100% hands-free, voice-controlled. We have unmatched noise cancellation with 4 digital microphones and advanced algorithms for voice recognition and voice noise cancellation. So we're able to be used in really high noise environments. We have 2 flagship versions. We've got the HMT1 and the 1Z1. The key difference being the 1Z1 is ATEX Zone 1 rated for flammable atmospheres. It can be used as an intrinsically safe device. The product is extremely reliable in tough, rugged environments. So fully ruggedized, IP66, both in dust and waterproof. So protected against heavy seas. Powerful jets of water can be used on the back deck of an offshore support vessel, can be used out in the middle of a mine site, and is tested in those conditions. So it's drop proofed 2 meters from any angle onto concrete. It's tested to operate from -20 degrees Celsius up to 50 degrees Celsius and can be stored at temperatures even more extreme than those. The hardware is effectively has the same power as a tablet, but in a wearable form factor, is compatible with PPE, full internal shift battery. It's 2 gig of RAM, Android 8.1 processor, able to be connected to multiple types of hardware, from bump caps through to hard hats, Petzl caps that can be worn for rope access, confined spaces, etc. And finally, it's deployable in terms of we have Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth connectivity, and because we're an Android operating system, it's as simple as loading an Android compatible application onto the device for a whole series of industrial applications, and to manage use cases across many different challenges, particularly in the oil and gas environment. And what I'd like to do now is actually show you rather than talk to you about that. And please start mounting up your questions in the chat box. And I'd like to rapid fire through this so I can be within time. So what I'm going to do now is share to you my screen, and hopefully you can see that. So what I might do is just get someone to pop in the chat box whether or not you can see navigate home this screen. Excellent. Right, so my programs, Workflow Plus. New job. Okay, of course that was going to happen. Whenever you want to do a demonstration, things don't work because that's how technology works. My programs, Workflow Plus. Okay, navigate home. My programs, over it. So I'm just going to demonstrate to you now some of the core capability of the device. You've seen in the video the remote mentor and digitally assisted workflow solution, and now I'll show you some of the other core capability of the device. Document navigator, picture, zoom level 3. So right now I'm talking to the device and I'm navigating through this document, this drawing, just by using my head. I can get to a point that I want to look at, freeze window. And now I can move the boom arm away, do my task, come back to the drawing, and then control window, move through that document again. Navigate back. Video. Video stop. So the capability there is to have your training videos, any content that you would like to be able to visualize whilst at the edge. Navigate back. IoT data. It's an example of visualizing any information that comes from sensors that are connected to the internet and then downloaded back onto the device, which you can visualize in real time. Navigate back. Visual assist. Key capability of the device that can be used when offline is the photo and video function. Very simply, take photo. So you can see the RealWear product suite here, different mounting options, the RealWear 1Z1 and the HMT one, and also a thermal imaging camera that's an accessible an accessory. Take photo. Preview. Zoom level 3, and I can have a look around at that photo. Navigate back. I can obviously record a video, which will be self-explanatory. I can do optical character recognition, so OCR. In this case, hello to everyone around the world. Thanks for attending. Take photo. Take photo. And as that's processing, should come up with the word hello. There we are. Close. And finally, I will show you the scanning capability. Scan code. And let's go into my, we'll scan a code here. There you go. So thanks very much for watching. Hopefully that gave you a quick rapid fire demonstration of the RealWear HMT, and hopefully you've got some questions and I can answer them for you right now. Otherwise, shoot me an email at cameron.stevens@realwear.com. Navigate home. All right, there we go. Back to you, Hamid.
Great presentation, Cameron. Thank you so much. I'll try to basically leave it on your last slide so that the folks gonna have their your contact information, or we can share it at some later time. Let's take the questions coming from the folks in the chat box. Georgia had a few questions. I think you kind of answered his first question, that he was asking if it's impossible to see image flying in the space. That demonstration probably answered that question. So I moved to his next question, which he asked, which type of software did you develop to manage information coming from different environments?
So just this might answer a few people's questions, and there's one there from Patrick around the relationship between RealWare and Interware. So RealWare is a hardware platform. We're an Android tablet, and we partner with various organizations who develop software for the HMT. My role as a solutions engineer is to determine what software stack will partner with the hardware to meet the solution of the user, so of the business that has a use case or a problem that needs to be solved. So Interware, as an example, is a software provider that has a workflow management tool, and there are various partners on the RealWare website. I also demonstrated.
And the next question from Giorgio again is Giorgio. He asked, how is the response of the hardware in a very noisy environment?
So I'll respond to two of Giorgio's questions in one. So sure. There's another question there about is there local tongue commands, and can it support multiple languages? So RealWare has the ability out of the box to support 13 languages, and that number's growing. We also have dialect language packs like Australian accents, Scottish accents for the North Sea oil sector, for example. Those commands are recognized out of the box with no need to teach the device to your voice. And the second question there was around how does that respond in the noisy environment? So those languages and those commands to the device within a 3-foot radius of your microphones here have noise cancellation capabilities in environments very much around the 100 dB mark. So on the calling card, it's 95 dB, but certainly I've used it in machinery, around machinery over 100 decibels. We pair up with a hearing protection that's 33 dB class 5, 33 noise rating reduction class 5 hearing protection, so that can be used in those environments, and the commands work perfectly well.
Perfect, thanks. And there are more questions basically coming up from David has asked, what are the options if you only have 4G LTE in a hazardous area? So
there are, so this company here, iSafe Mobile, provides an intrinsically safe 4G LTE, and otherwise there are phones and tablets that are able to be used as the hub to tether Wi-Fi. There's also intrinsically safe Wi-Fi Nest hubs that can be used to provide connectivity in hazardous areas. So yeah, there are options to have intrinsically safe phones that are used to tether to provide connectivity to the HMT 1Z1.
Thank you for that answer. And then the next questions come from Ahmed. He says, thank you for the presentation. It's a great product. Do you start selling it? If yes, which industry use it the most? I think he wants to know the deployment track record, basically.
Sure. So RealWare, particularly in, so RealWare has thousands of deployments globally. We are we're selling in all industry verticals. Obviously, this session is predominantly targeted to the energy sector. We have certainly scaled deployments in businesses such as Shell in the oil and energy sector. We're working at various sized deployments from one device through to hundreds of devices across the oil and energy sector. The automotive sector is, we have significant deployments across North America for Ford, for example, in every dealership in the US. We are in the light manufacturing sector, healthcare sector. We've done a lot of work in the healthcare sector with COVID-19, and we're actually used in the epicenter in Wuhan. We are used in wherever there's a field worker that needs to be connected to information in situ to make their job easier. RealWare is currently being deployed. We have a partner strategy, and if you'd like more information about that and reselling hardware, etc., please get in touch with me.
Okay, great. Thanks, Cameron. And the last question from Laila, she asks about the projection of the image. If it where it happens, does it happen in the small monitor in the hardware? If you can basically maybe
sure.
So,
in terms of visualizing the what the heads-up display looks like, it looks like a 7-inch tablet relatively. So it looks like a 7-inch tablet at arm's length in that heads-up display. You have the ability to toggle color modes so that you can see inside versus outside. The color mode will change to make that even more the user experience much better depending on the ambient lighting. And most importantly is for our developer friends is to understand that there are some challenges around developing for voice activated technology with the real estate that's available on wearable devices, but the display itself is exactly like when you're sitting down on the couch looking at a screen at arm's length. So if you're comfortable watching Netflix on your phone, you'll be comfortable being able to navigate through an HMT with your voice out in the field.
Perfect. Thanks, Cameron. I think that brings us basically to the end of the today's presentation. Before I end it, I'd like to basically raise a couple more points before letting the folks go. Number one, if you guys have any questions from our presenters today, Cameron and Richard, and I ask Richard to come online as well. If he can turn on his camera, please reach out to them through TechnologyCatalogue.com. You can go to their technology page and message them directly, or you can drop us a line at info@technologycatalog.com, and I'll make sure to basically put you in touch with them. So please reach out if you have any questions. And also the last thing I wanted to mention is that we are having these webinars quite often, so please join us next week for our next webinar. And once again, thank you so much to our audience for joining us today. And thanks, Richard, for the first presentation. And thank you so much for the second presentation, Cameron. Yeah, have a great rest of the day. All the best, guys. See you next time. Bye.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. All the best. Appreciate it. All the best. See you, Cameron. See you, Hamid. Thank you very much, everyone.